So I'd like to introduce Eleanor Corliss, and like I said before, that Eleanor, I'll have a day I'll never forget when she came to my house with Nancy and had all these poems handwritten on paper that almost no one had ever seen. You know, they'd been in notebooks and in desk drawers like Emily Dickinson had done. I mean, Emily Dickinson published, what, 12 poems in her lifetime, and they found hundreds of them later on. So, I mean, it really was a great moment just to sit here in my living room and hear her read, and you know, all this poetry and a whole life of, you know, America in the century, World War II and all that. I had a favorite poem that I really loved a lot, and that's what I'd like to ask her to read today.
Thank you, Jimmy. I started writing poetry when I was in my teens and just kept on doing it. It became a habit, and like Topsy, it grew. The one that Jimmy liked and wanted me to read is called Thoughts on the Year I Turned 50. When now I chance to look upon my face, my hair shows silver more than it shows brown, and lines of living trace their way upon my face like roads and byways traversing a town. I face each dawn, alert and eager for the day, and a child thrill of expectancy will leap. But when some 16 hours have passed away, I embrace my bed in weariness for sleep. I labor hard and revel in the toil. Satisfaction fills me when a good job is done. But the stairs are steep, and I feel so old when I have labored on from sun to sun. I think, well, this is it. My life has gone beyond the well-named point of no return. I've lived half a century. Ooh. I have children, all grown, who are looking forward to their lives with time to burn. Now why, with all these years, this silver hair, do I feel restless, yearning, quick to cry? As though I were 18. When on this chill night air, I hear the gypsy whistle of a train, I want to fly away to some romantic and exotic place, to see a new country, another hill, a far-off plain, to hear strange tongues, feel tropic sun upon my face, or watch some other land grow ghostly in the rain. 'Tis a wicked trick to play upon a girl who should act her age and honor her white hair. A whistle has no right to be a skirl upon this frosty night's star-spangled air. No right to call up memories, bring forth a ghost, or bare one's quivering heart to see for all. No right to make a matron feel at most as though she were still young and 23. It was 1936 when I began to write poetry, and I was probably 13 or 14. And I kept on writing them. In the 40s, we went to war. I had a son, a husband, numerous cousins, friends who were tied up in the war and the war years. In 1945, I was working in Hartford, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut. And I worked with a group of girls who were secretaries, private secretaries, assistant secretaries, 2 lawyers, doctors, all kinds of professional people. And we used to meet 1 day a week for lunch at a little restaurant at the head of Pearl Street in Hartford. And one of the girls had a husband who was in the service and in Auschwitz, in Germany at the time that Auschwitz was liberated, actually. And he had taken pictures, probably illegally, because I don't think they were even allowed to bring cameras in. And of course he didn't have an Instamatic or one of those things that you point and snap. But he did take pictures. We could see in the panoramic view that he took where a road led out from the prison camp, and the ditches on either side were filled with bodies that had just been dumped there after they dragged them out of the gas chambers. The whole thing was horrifying, but we were a little used to that kind of thing. You know, we'd heard stories and seen pictures. And so I wrote the German prison camp. We saw the murdered masses there, still hills of poor humanity. The gutted home, the shattered church, bereft of personality. Such awesome, chilling cruelty that all our senses were still numbed, conditioned us to wholesale death. I too, until I saw one thing, a small thing, but monstrous too. They found a box of wedding rings. Wedding rings. 100,000 wedding rings. Gold rings that had circled heart with heart. Young girls who kissed at altars knelt. By proud young men with eager eyes. Lifetimes of laughter that had died ran through a soldier's strong brown hands. They tinkled back into the box. It was then I cried. I wrote that in November of 1945. And the only other thing, when Jimmy said, you had the poem about a train, and all I could think of was the one that I wrote about, can't find it. No, I can't find it.
Well, that first one was a good one, Ellen. That was the one I really liked.
That was the one.
That was the one.
I
The
thought
first
you
one was
meant the one.
No, that was it.
Song of the Vagabond, I thought you meant. A long black train rides through the night. Its shriek tears the silence apart. Goodbye, love. The stars are too bright. The wanderlust cries in my heart. And I wrote that in 1936. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're just lucky it wasn't my head I left.
I always remember the story you told me about how you admired Madame Curie, I think it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Madame Curie, and you wanted to be a chemist or a scientist or something.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, people discouraged her because she was a woman. People like Madame Curie are groundbreakers, and hope to.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Obama election. We need these things that break ground for people to, that anybody can have a shot at anything.